myself from reading it in the paper. When you read these things every week after week, there must be no smoke without fire. It looks that way, it sounds that way. If it backs, it's a dog. I didn't do the robbery.
What's going on, Yana? Before we move on to the events, for those of you that haven't heard this story, you learned a lot about the Kinahans' rise. You heard Jerry Hutch's name a few times in part 1. The video will be more of a podcast in terms as there are going to be very few pictures on this video. And like I always say, Irish criminals differ from American criminals. They aren't flashy, they don't brag, they don't admit to anything. Most grew in extreme poverty and went through the system. By the time they got to bigger crimes, they were already hardened, intelligent, and knew how to trick the system. So it was difficult to put this together, along with most of this being in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. So bear with me, but you don't want to miss this. Born April 12, 1963, in a family of 8, raised in Dublin's north inner city that was poverty-stricken and rife with crime. Early in age, Jerry began hanging out with a local gang. By the age of 9, he already amassed 4 charges on separate occasions of larceny and burglary. In June 1976, the gangster movie for kids Bugsy Malone hit cinema. Jerry and his group of friends were constantly in and out of court. Eventually, a paper would compare them to the movie, and they would be known as the Bugsy Malone Gang. Hutch would eventually drop out of school, and him and his crew began progressing in their activities, doing jump overs where they would run into a bank, jump over the counter, grab cash from the till, and run back out. To add to that, they also did joyriding and robbing cars parked at the light. On the 11th of May 1978, at the age of 15, Jerry would land himself in prison for a year with 2 counts of attempted burglary and possession of housebreaking tools. 2 weeks after, he would receive another year for larceny and grand theft. The next October, he would receive another 12 months on attempted burglary and malicious damage. Convicts and guards would state Hutch was always quiet and kept to himself. He kept picking his friends wisely. He didn't drink or smoke weed and began to become a leader amongst his gang. When he was released in 1980, it had become clear he was a rising criminal in the underworld, continuing the work he left off in armed robberies and burglaries. Eamon Kelly would take Jerry under his wing, seeing a future lieutenant and accomplished gangster to add to his ranks. Kelly was associated with the official IRA and was also one of the top gang bosses in Dublin. And bringing in Jerry essentially was bringing the next generation of criminals. Jerry would have a chance to prove himself in February 1981 by taking part in a job with a group of experienced criminals. On the 9th, Jerry is alleged to be a part of a 4-man crew that robbed the Allied Bank branch on Mary Street in Dublin. Armed with machine guns, handguns, and grenades, they would ram a stolen car through the front as staff were getting cash from the safe. 2 would go around grabbing the cash, and 1 would stand lookout armed with a machine gun. They would drive off in a van, but would run into a squad car who gave chase. They would hit a dead end and abandon the van, carrying the cash, desperate to get away, firing shots at the pursuing squad car. They would hijack a minivan, but would make it a short distance before they abandoned that as well, scattering into the streets. George Royal, who was believed to be the leader, was arrested at the scene and charged with robbery, where they made off with €79,000. Jerry Hutch was brought in for questioning, but would remain silent for 24 hours, answering none of the investigators' questions, and the investigators would soon release him due to lack of evidence. Jerry would learn from the mistakes of this robbery, but on May 8, 1981, he would have even more time when he was sentenced to 9 months incarceration for larceny of a car. Jerry was released in October of 1981 when heroin was starting to take off, including in his neighborhood. Old friends who were skilled were beginning to get sloppy due to their heroin use. Hutch realized this, seeing old friends die or get hooked and live a life in shambles. Due to this, Jerry grew a hate for the drug and the peddlers who sold them. On November 23, 1981, Jerry was believed to be involved in another robbery at a bakery his brother Eddie lived close to. The total amount of cash taken was over €10,000. Later in the day, detectives would locate the money and the guns used for the robbery at a safe house. Investigators would stake out the scene and at 1 a.m. see a Datsun sports car belonging to Jerry pull up. Eddie would make his way into the house but be arrested. The sports car would peel off and get away as it was believed to be Jerry. Later, Jerry would be arrested and questioned along with his brother, but were eventually released due to insufficient evidence. On the 7th of December, Jerry's wife, Patricia, would give birth to a girl, the first of 5 children. This influenced Jerry to organize his crimes better and make backup plans to future robberies. Another thing that placed Jerry apart from others was the way he spent his earnings. He was able to pay for a good education for his kids and purchase a house for his family in a good area. He also wasn't flashy with his money and would engage in an inconspicuous life. Hutch would begin learning how to launder his money when he pulled off one of his bigger ones on September 10, 1983. A Securicore van was about to make its final collection from the Super Quinn Mart in North Dublin. The van pulled up to the front and 2 security men would make their way to the door before being surrounded by 3 masked robbers armed with sawed-off shotguns and a pistol. Hutch was believed to be dressed in a woman's wig and scarf. They would force security back to the van to open, and they would drive off in a van and getaway car following close behind. The money was transferred to another car and the driver was released. It's believed Jerry and his crew got away with $100,000. In December 1983, Jerry would be imprisoned for the stolen car used in a botched robbery. He would be imprisoned in Mount Joy. May 31st, 1985, Jerry was released and never wanted to get caught again, making a decision to pull off the big one, a robbery so profitable that he would be set up for life. On June 12, 1986, the Hutches would take a hit as Eamon Kelly was sentenced to 10 years for stabbing a man outside the Workers' Party Club. By the time Kelly was well on his way to prison, Hutch stopped working with his brothers and started working with a team of streetwise experts he grew up with and trusted. Hutch was well aware of a robbery that was pulled off by the General Martin Cahill in July 1983, where the team had robbed $1.5 million worth in gold, gems, and diamonds. Jerry liked the thought of this, but not the gems, gold, and jewels. Rather, he wanted cash. On January 26, 1987, a Securicore cash in transit van with 3 security guards on board over the course of the day collected cash from various banks. And at 5:20 p.m., they would make their final pickup at the Bank of Ireland at Merino Mart in Fairview. The money was picked up and pushed through a chute into the van's cash holding vault. As one of the guards made his way to the front passenger seat, a red BMW would pull up behind and 3 masked men would jump out. 2 would force the guard out of the passenger seat and the others would stand opposite, pointing a gun at the driver's head, forced to get out and hand over the keys. One would get in the van and drive off while the other 2 entered a BMW and followed a short distance up. The robbers would then release the final security guard, Simon Foley, who was pushed out of the cash vault. The robbers would drive a short distance and begin unloading the cash into several vehicles they had parked earlier, drive off, abandoning the van and the BMW. Later that day, Hutch and his gang met at a safe house and began counting notes, trying to figure out what the cut was going to be. Stunned, they would figure out that they had $1,357,106. Jerry and his gang had just pulled off the biggest cash robbery in the history of the state. Knowing this, they figured Gardy would be vigorously investigating the robbery. They all had planned alibis, witnesses to back them, and each had already been through the system and were prepared for possible arrest. The major problem Jerry was confronted with was how to launder the money. He would put the money into a number of financial institutions in Northern Ireland. Once things died down, he would then withdraw, receiving legitimate money. The plan wouldn't work out well, though, as the monk tried to move the cash safely into Northern Ireland. Jerry, with the help of 2 men, Francis Sheridan and Patrick Hickey, would begin opening various accounts and adding money into them. The Central Detective Unit was on to Jerry, spending hours surveilling Jerry and his crew. After hours, they had caught word that the money from the robbery was being moved. They would then identify Sheridan was one of the bagmen and tapped his phone. They would hear Jerry instructed Sheridan to drop another $80,000 to Hickey. When they did just that, Gardy would swoop in to arrest both of them. Sheridan would admit the money was from the Merino Mart job and also hand over the rest of the money he had at his house, which was $320,000. They would both refuse to name Jerry and be charged with receiving money traced and recovered by police. At the same time, Jerry Hutch's various accounts were frozen. The detectives knew, though, that Jerry and his crew still had well over $1 million, and it was never recovered. Hutch also wasn't worried about the bagmen. He knew they would keep their mouths shut and do their time, as it was a requirement.
The first maps didn't look like much. We went to explore. To the
The job or take a bullet to the head. The fear of those bagmen were for good reason, as Jerry was implicated in over 4 murders, but he was never the shooter, and there was only alleged along with others. There was one killing, though, that changed things. In June 1987, Mel Cox, a scrap dealer and formidable street fighter, had went too far after a brawl broke out after a spat between Mel's wife and some other women. The chaos would ensue into the streets, and Eddie Hutch would receive a broken jaw via Mel. Mel would receive news that his life was in danger and laugh, saying he could fit the monk into his pocket. But on the 30th of June, he was working in the back of his home when a man wearing a gray tracksuit and no mask would walk in and shoot Mel point blank 3 times in the head. Mel's partner, Margaret, who witnessed the murder, would point at Jerry as the killer. Hutch was arrested not long after and questioned, but released after there was no forensic evidence and no witnesses other than Margaret, which was not deemed strong enough to charge for murder. By October 1987, Gardy would receive word that Jerry and Matt Kelly were involved in a number of major property deals in central Dublin. By August 1989, Hutch's portfolio was building, fixing the homes, and renting or mortgaging them out, making him one of the biggest landlords in the North Inner City. Jerry knew they were on the wanted list and figured out Gardy had improved and were really starting to crack down. He knew that they were going to be surveilled, and to his credit, investigators say that Hutch's crew were impenetrable due to their commitment and being careful never to discuss business with anyone other than themselves and never over the phone. On the 6th of January 1992, 2 thieves armed with AK-47s would come down from the drop ceiling of the AIB Lestugan cash depot. They would fire shots in the air while a third would, outside the building, would disarm the security guard holding him at gunpoint. They would load a trolley full of cash and make off with it in a waiting van, escaping. The whole event took just 5 minutes. Hutch and his crew just did the biggest cash heist in Irish history, as there was over $2.5 million at the time in that safe. On the 16th of October 1992, Jeffrey Enos was an associate of Jerry's, had rented a shed from a farmer from Old Town, County Meath, to store 4-wheel Jeeps. On November 26th, Gardy were alerted after spotting Jerry apparently monitoring a security van at the Northside Shopping Center in Coolock. On January 23rd, the last security van would drive through the gate at the Brinks Allied Cash Depot in Clonshaw. 3 flares would fire in the air, giving the signal for the gang to move in. As Yankee 29 drove in, the shutter door started to lower, but one of the Jeeps smashed in, and 3 thieves broke in, firing 3 shots in the air, disarming the staff and taking control. As the 3 thieves began loading cash into the second Jeep, one stood guard outside, armed with an AK-47. At 6:30, staff immediately alerted guards, watching the whole thing unfold on CCTV. Once the cash was loaded, the thieves jumped into the Jeep and sped off through a trail and makeshift bridge they had made in the rough terrain. A squad car would show up within 8 minutes, but the thieves were already gone, taking only 5 minutes to pull off the heist. It's alleged Jerry and his crew made off with $2.8 million, setting a new record. In total, with the 3 big heists, his crew had taken over $6.7 million. Gardy were immediately aware of who could pull this job off. They would stop Jeffrey Enos and find traffic cones and muddy overalls and boots. He would be taken in for questioning but would be released in 48 hours due to lack of evidence. None of the money would ever be recovered. On top of that, there was no forensic evidence found. Nothing would ever leak about the robbery or the loot. Following the robbery, Hutch brought a lot of unwanted attention his way. After the death of Martin Cahill, the papers found their new villain in Hutch. On September 26, 1995, Jerry Hutch, Willie Scully, Noel Murphy, Jerry Lee, and Paul Boyle were all arrested and taken in for questioning. Of course, though, none of them would answer questions and would ultimately be released due to lack of evidence. Afterwards, the media sent tons of headlines, especially after getting the first picture of him at a friend's funeral and putting it on the front page. In an effort to set things straight, Hutch granted Irish journalist Veronica Guerin an interview professing his innocence, making a point that by putting him in the paper with no convictions for the crimes entailed, put him at risk and a possible target for gangland violence. Veronica had good things to say about the monk, quoting that he was intelligent, chatty, well-informed, personable, and a man motivated by meeting his family's needs. June 26, 1996, Veronica would be shot in a hit by what's believed to be one of gangsters John Gilligan's hitmen. Even though Hutch and others distanced themselves from John, the damage was already done. There was public outcry forcing Gardaí and government to tighten the clamps on gangland activity. Hutch had respect for Veronica and even sent his condolences. It's said, but even that couldn't stop what was coming. A month after the Proceeds of Crime Act was passed into law, this set up a new guard unit, the CAB, or Criminal Assets Bureau. This consisted of tax, social welfare officers, and Gardaí combining their forces to take illegal gains off of criminals. They had to prove where the wealth had come from and if they were able to possess cash and assets. They began investigating Hutch, unraveling a trove of properties, assets, and financial information. All in all, the bill would top over $2 million, and Jerry would appeal June 12, 1998. On February 22, 1999, the Revenue Appeal Commissioner rejected Hutch's appeal and left the bill standing at $2,031,551. Hutch would appeal the demand in circuit court and would lose, and appeal to the High Court and lose as well. Negotiations would take place between the Hutch's reps and the CAB. On March 23, 2000, they would reach an agreement. Hutch would pay $1.2 million. Next will be part 3 of the Kinahan-Hutch feud as we get into Jerry's nephews and the Kinahans. There's still a ton that I left out, but eventually all this is going to start coming together. As you can see, Jerry is simply a boy who grew up in a harsh life of poverty. With his intelligence and patience, if he put that dedication towards something else, he may have been great at providing a positive influence towards society. I always bring up class issues, lower, middle, and rich. Jerry's life may have been different if he was provided with a firm education and more community help. Though Jerry was linked to many murders, most of these had other links to other criminals as well. Jerry didn't turn to violence unless he absolutely had to. He provided to his family, gave his kids schooling. He wasn't flashy, never bragged, and invested his money well, on top of providing assistance to his community. He was very much a Robin Hood type figure and far more mature than most his age. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. If you want to be a part of the community, make sure to follow WhatsApp Crackbuzzer, Saint City Limerick, Zabel, Karpaki Unfiltered, and Mr. A. For good interviews on boxing, sub to Making Gains. Also, if you haven't already been sure to check it out, check out Limerick's newest rapper rising to the scene, Wilsey. Sub to his YouTube, Welcome to the New World, and watch his newest music video, A Dream of Peace. Y'all stay safe out there. I'm out.
Well, all right, lads, that was Steve's video. If he wanted to go over there, but don't like the share, I'll help him out a lot. And Steve, sorry, I didn't know that the fucking ads made your money. Otherwise, I would have skipped them. So, how's everyone? Hello, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Who else is there? Hello, Top Joe. Right, who is it? Mulder. All right, Mulder, what's the story, buddy? Sean again. What's the crack? All right, Mike, what's the story? You never miss a show, do you? The link is up there, Steve. Want to jump on or anyone else? Hi, cool dudes. What's the story, buddy? I won't read all that, I'll just put it up. Steve told me hanging again tonight, buddy. Oh, shit, your rollerblade, aren't you? Forgot about that. So, what's the crack with everyone? How was your day? How was your day? Yeah, we know there to just trying to send a link there to their group chat and the rest of the lads. I'm in the front of the show. All right, now, how everyone doing? I'm good anyway, Sean. How are you keeping? Uh, 2 seconds now and I'll be with you, lads. The Sean Stokes on. He's offline though. Down online. No, everyone's fucking offline tonight. You know I'm back to you. Right, Thomas Crack. Right, Frank. All good, all good. Anyone want to come on? We both said out of Joe. Let someone come on and chat. It's very boring here. What do you think, Steve's video anyway? She soaked the blood out of you, Tom Joe. Right, we have importing Guinness. What's our story?
What's the story, pal?
How's things, bud?
I'm broke up, I am.
Did you see how long last night?
I stood upside it, man. I went at it again last night.
You fucking lunatic.
I went at it again, so I did, yeah. I was like, I wouldn't mind. Well, I didn't have any drink though. If you read between the lines.
Yeah. Yeah, my fucking internet fucked up last night. Then I got it back and I went on. You were chatting to Steve, I think.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, I just jumped on and said hi and I fucked off back to bed anyway.
Yeah. No, fucking. Well, there was drink there, but there was spirits, and I was thinking to myself.
Yes. You were saying that before my one went off.
Yeah, I'm thinking to myself, and there was no proper mix. So it was like, my stomach, I was thinking, I'm not drinking it raw, don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong, I've done it before. I probably would have done it, but I decided not to. Shoulda, woulda, coulda.
Yeah, you fucking know what happens when you get straight, you see.
Yeah, well, this is it, you know.
Yeah, yeah. You should have tried to get water, so water it down, please.
Nah, fuck that. Like, I'd rather, I never watered down spirits in my life.
Yeah, be better on the stomach, like is what I'm saying.
Yeah, no, like, well, in saying that, like, I often got, like, a vodka on the rocks, or, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
That'd be about it. But sure, it'd be gone by the time the ice would be even melted. That'd be the closest to watering it down, you know?
Yeah, I get you.
You know?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Are you still up the other place?
Yeah, I'm here. I can't think
I
about that
thought you were
today.
coming home today.
I don't think about no, me fucking me mate asked us to stay on like for a couple of days. So I said to the missus, like, there's a few nice spots up here, but sure, I
Yeah.
like that. Yeah, I was asleep again all day today, so I was, but I'm gonna have to make it up to her tomorrow. You know, and I have to
Yeah,
make
I
it up
get
to
you,
her.
I get you.
But yeah, it's alright. Like, you know what I mean? Just
Yeah.
chilled out. Here we are, like just watching TV. Like, well, it's on the background. Thought I'd jump on and see what that crack was.
Yeah, yeah. I won't be a long one tonight anyway. I need to down out there to share fucking Steve's video.
Yeah, well, he's got a new video, has he?
No, the one he put up the other day, but when they try put it up to put up his stuff so he gets extra money, if you get me. The more it's watched, the more he gets paid.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So wait, come again. Yeah, I know the more you watch, the more he gets paid. But you what? You're just throwing it onto your channel as well, is it?
Yeah, but I think there, see the little banner there, can you see the banner at the bottom saying go over and share it, give it a like and share.
Hang on.
The little
In the
thing going
chat.
across the screen now.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the more the people goes up to his place and watches that video, or even clicks on it and then shares it or give it a like, he gets paid. I think
Yes,
that's the way it works anyway.
yeah. Well, I think they have to watch. I could be wrong. Yeah, I could be wrong. Because
Yeah.
I was thinking about starting my own podcast, and I was watching one or two videos of how to set it up and that. And fucking, according to, now I could be wrong, as I said, and these people could be, they could be just waffling. But I think they have to watch a certain length of your video. I could be wrong though.
No, you have to watch a piece of it anyway, like.
Yeah. Like if it's a minute long video and you watch the minute, they get paid like the full amount or something. I don't
Yeah.
know I don't know the full ins and outs of it.
Yeah,
You
and
know?
I didn't know there you had to watch the ads as well. I kept fucking skipping the ads. He gets paid for the ads as well, you see.
Yeah. That's how you get paid.
Yeah,
That's
and that's what I skipped them, like.
yeah. That's how you get paid. Like, do you know what I mean? Is when you watch the ads. But they
Yeah.
reckon, like, if you're making a video, for instance, and it's 10 minutes long, right? On average, yeah, just say, don't put any
Yeah.
more than like two ads in it, like, or yeah. Do you know, put one maybe at the beginning, or one even say like 3 minutes into it, and then put one. Do you know what I mean? Like a minute before the end, you know, something like that. You know, because if you have it littered with ads, then people are just gonna say, "Fuck that," you know.
Yeah, you're going to get pissed off with them. I came across a few of them ones. No one said, fuck that. I'm not watching this film at all. Or this video at
Yeah,
all.
documentary or whatever it be. Yeah, do you
Yeah.
know what I mean? Yeah, exactly. Do you know? But yeah, I am kind of like, I'm not saying yeah I'm 100%, but I'm giving it a bit of a thought to do like a podcast. Do you know?
Yeah. You should know what yourself, sure.
That's what I'm saying. I was thinking about doing one. So fucking you know what I mean. Like talk about everything and anything. You know, like that. Anybody be welcome on it. You know, but obviously you try and set it up in a way that it's like almost like an interview in a sense, without being intrusive, though.
Yeah.
You know. But sure, if they want to hide their identity, they can hide their identity. You know, depends on who it is and what story they're telling. You know what I mean?
Well, the true. Yeah, that's true.
You know.
I don't ask anyone to put on their camera on my page. If you don't want to put it on, you can put it on. If you don't want to, you don't want to. Like me tonight, I don't have mine on.
Yeah, no. Yeah. No, that's it. I don't know. Like, I'm not saying I will do it. Like, but I was thinking about doing it. It's not even about genuine. It's not even for the money. Yeah, it's not even for the money. Like, it's genuine just because there's myself personally. I think I have a few stories that could help people change their lives or save a life. Yeah, and I don't mean to sound like
Yeah.
Danny G. Yeah, choose a life, not a knife. Yeah, you
Choose a
know what I mean?
life than a knife.
Right? You know, Scouse like, choose a life, not a knife. You know, fucking nonce, yeah, right? I'm not him. But what I am saying is there's a lot of other people that won't they wouldn't do it, you know? They wouldn't go on it like like the boys are saying, like, yeah. For instance, like a traveler would probably open up to a traveler quicker than, you know what I mean, someone else. You know, like that?
Yeah, I
You,
get
you
you.
know? And I'm not saying that it'll be dedicated only to travelers, but like I have friends over in London that I'd get them on, let them talk about their life experience, and I'd be able to relate and get a bit of banter going at the same time, and you know what I mean.
I get you, yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Oh shit! I'll tell you one thing, man. There's not a part of me that isn't fucking aching. I swear.
You're gonna have to take it easy a bit.
Well, I'm telling you. You know. That's what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm supposed to be taking it easy. For sure, with no sleep, like, and when you're just on the party buzz, like, I don't think I sat down, so I did, like the other night once. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? I don't think I actually sat down once, like,
I don't think I partied like you did, don't you? There was no fucking, I don't know, 16 or 17.
where in which.
The way you're partying.
Oh yeah, there was people coming and going as well, like, do
Yeah, yeah.
you know what I mean? There was people coming and going, like randomers. That's why, when the phone went missing, I thought it was one of the randomers, like that.
Yeah, they took it.
But
Yeah.
sure, I made sure there was no way out of the building. You know what I mean? Like like I said there, was some on the front door, some on the back door. Nobody's leaving. Let me find this thing. I'm finding my phone. You know what I mean? Where's my keys?
Yeah.
Where's my phone? Where's my keys? Where's my phone?
Now, what's his name? Have you any fun here? Well, what up, bro? What's up, buddy? How are you? I'm going to be cancel this down a few minutes, lads, for a half an hour. I've something to do. I'll be back live again.
Fuck me, man. You're getting an awful lot of. I'm gonna have to flicking into the chat. There's a shitload of chat. I can't. I need
Yeah, load video.
Hello, everybody. Everybody, if I'll be here all night to call out names, but hello to everyone. I hope you're all doing well. Yeah.
Say hi to them, like. I fucking did say hi to you, bollocks.
Have you a hairy hole?
I think that's my tie anyway, given a different account. But
Yeah.
my tie went off there a minute ago. He's nice out to me on his proper account, so he's making a new one now, so he can troll again.
Yeah. Hey, what's the story, Khabib? He was on the lot as it was in the morning, so he was with us. What's the crack, Tom Joe?
Say it again for the crack.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. What's the crack, pal? Kill Tills. The infamous Muay Thai. I see one comment.
Troll my tie.
Sean Kieran, Kieran, is it? Kieran?
Kerrigan, I think. He's a double bloke, same as himself.
My apologies. I don't even know how to read that that name. I'm not
Yeah,
very good.
I'm just guessing it's Kerrigan.
Yeah. My apologies. From if I'm pronouncing it wrong, pal. Frank McGinley, boy, was the beer garden all day? What in the football? Yeah, well, I watched actually. To be honest, yeah, I don't know Limerick if you watched it yourself, but did you see that Holland and I watched the Austria and fucking North Macedonia. Oh, what the fuck is the place? Hang on, you come back to me.
Well,
Ah,
no, I didn't watch any of the soccer anyway today. I don't know 9 minutes, so I'm not bothered with this.
yeah. No, well, fucking, I have bets on, like, do you know what I mean? But I was disgusted. I was gonna throw a bet on. I'm not like I was gonna throw a bet on onto Holland, yeah, to win, right? Netherlands to win. And at the last minute, I said, nah, I won't. Like, I leave it, yeah. I said I leave it, right? I knew they were gonna win, but I was thinking, I was thinking, oh, fucking, I leave it. I was gonna put on a silly amount of money in a sense, you know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah.
But to try and recuperate some of what I spent. But wouldn't go astray anyway. Who wouldn't say no to an extra fiver in their pocket, like, But
And it's the truth, yeah.
I didn't, and I'm kind of disgusted. But it was a good game, yeah. Ukraine surprised me, so they did. I didn't expect them to put up as much of a match, like.
Yeah. Come here, lads. I come here, lad. What's your name again? Guinness, is it?
Part of
I tried
Guinness.
to call it with it, yeah. I'm going to have to off there for half an hour, but I will start a new live there at about 12:30, 25 to 1.
Yeah, well, fucking, if I don't get on it, Palace, because I'm broke up and I'll probably
Yeah, that's not a bother.
I
It's
might
not a
hit
bother.
the
It's
hay.
just something I have to do there, and it'll take me about a half an hour, like.
Here, do you know what I mean? Here, leave the tweezers down, pull up your trousers, okay?
Come here, go on.
And
Let's in the chat here.
here,
I'll count you all the while.
remember the long skinny arm on a TikTok clock. Yeah, that's the second hand limerick.
Go
you
on, you
know,
bottoms. I'll count you there the while.
right? Go on.
All right, everyone in the chat, I'll count you in the while,
Right,
lads. Take
take it
care.
easy. Take it easy.
Thanks for
Right?
joining anyway. Take
No
care.
worries.
Bye.
Right,
Bye.
bye.